Now is author Daren Martin.
You don't want employees, you want owners.
Fear it. It's already here. You got to stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself.
And just like that, we are live. First time ever in
I'm
company
so
culture.
excited.
Are you really stoked? You're excited? So you're so excited that 3 seconds before we came on, what were you doing? Checking your hair.
Hey, I'm a girl.
Elise has the
girl.
the gold shiny thing on the back of the phone so she can check her hair just to make sure we're good to go. And I think you look fantastic.
Thank you.
So I am so excited about this show, Company Culture with Daren Martin / Elise Martin, sidekick, beautiful wife, CMO of our company, just Miss Fantastic. In fact, we were talking earlier, I'm a little concerned that within 4 weeks, this show is going to, by popular demand, be renamed Company Culture with Elise Martin. And then I'm just going to be sitting over here watching the whole thing run. So the reason we're so excited about the show is because one of the hottest topics going on out there right now is just company culture.
Company culture is not just a hot topic, it's an important topic.
Extremely important topic because we there's so many races on right now, but the biggest race is how to attract and retain top talent. And we know that attracting and retaining top talent, or the right talent. By the way, I came across that recently. I just came across that on the web, and I love it because it's not just about top talent, because what is top talent for somebody else's company may not be top talent for you.
This is true.
It's about fit. It's about culture. It's about all those things.
Fitting in your culture, fitting for what you want. What do they bring to the team? You know, you don't just want people who are just good at their job. You want people who are bringing insight, bringing conversation, input.
So even when sports teams go to recruit, they may need a center, they may need a running back, they may need a particular position. And I'm a big advocate in the sports world, by the way, to take the best player whether you need him or not. I think sometimes that's true in the workplace. But what's really exciting to me about this show is it is going to be the show as of right now on company culture, about company culture, for company culture. And if you think we're going to, after 7,982 episodes, exhaust things to talk about when it comes to company culture,
we can't.
We're just not. We
can't even do it at dinner. Dinner finishes, the wine bottle gets opened. We're still talking about culture. Wine bottle gets opened.
I think you had it out of order. The wine bottle gets opened, then we start eating dinner. It's not like we eat dinner. Anyway,
it really depends on the day.
What that has to do with anything. The point being that this is the stuff that we live, eat, and breathe. I mean, I'm called the culture architect for a reason, because this is a topic that we're really passionate about. And I want that to come through in the show, and I know it's going to come through, and we're going to be covering everything. We thought we would kick off today the maiden voyage of this show.
Are we a maiden and a voyage?
I don't know what that has to do with anything. Rick is over there making faces. Yeah, I'm with you, Rick.
Maiden voyage. Let's just make it happen.
Okay, so I just have to say, my beautiful wife, co-host, CMO of our company, grew up overseas, and sometimes there are little phrases that just throw her for a loop because she's never heard them before. We won't get into that now.
I'm an alien.
Maybe we should do a whole show on that at some point.
I'm a legal alien.
No, you're not a legal alien. You're actually a U.S. citizen. You were born in San Diego.
I can't remember the rest of this song. Who sang this song?
I don't know. I've never heard this song. We are already okay.
Alien.
Hey, can we just scrap the entire show? We're not going to do the podcast. This is
all right. We need to get into it.
Okay.
So
company
first
culture.
About attracting.
So before attracting, though, let me say this about company culture. You know, I do a lot of keynotes on this subject. And here's what I have to say about the importance of culture. If you don't think it matters, I had the CEO of a $20 billion oil and gas company who hated that word. He said this is a high dollar consultant word that people use. And, my point is, no, nonsense. If you don't get the culture right, you don't get anything right. But it goes back to a great Lou Gerstner quote. Lou Gerstner, when he took over IBM to be the CEO of IBM, this was in 1992. They were in some serious trouble. They were about to go bankrupt.
They were walking like penguins.
Yes.
They were like.
Yes, they had a very
It was like
unique
that Apple commercial. Have you seen that Apple commercial where they're like?
No, I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, the one where she throws the hammer.
Boy, I'm exhausted already.
Sorry,
We're already what are we, like 12 seconds into the show? I'm already just completely worn out. Lou Gerstner.
Go ahead.
There was actually a book written about his time at IBM called "Who Says Elephants Can't Dance?" One of the great turnaround culture books written. So Gerstner says this. He said, when I first got to IBM, I knew that culture was going to be an important part of the game, along with strategy, finances, vision, blah, 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 et cetera. All those other things that are important in turning around or running a company. Halfway through the project, he said, I knew I was wrong. Culture was not an important part of the game. He said, I determined that culture is the game. If you don't change the culture, you don't change the company. So I want to start that because that's really what the tone of this show is going to be about. How do you change company cultures? How do you create a company culture that gets into today's topic that attracts and retains top talent?
I mean, ultimately, if you change your culture, you'll change your company trajectory. You'll make your customers happier. You'll increase your bottom line.
I mean, culture drives the whole deal, right?
It's the starting point. It's the gas in the engine. Without it, the car is useless.
Yeah, so I don't know how this popped out, but I was actually doing a keynote for the CHRO, a bunch of senior level executives in Chicago recently for Avanta. A little shout out to Avanta. And I don't think it was a question, but somebody said something. I said, the reality is people don't want to work for companies that suck. We've got a 3-point whatever it is unemployment rate right now, which is
3.8 as of May. 3.8.
Okay, you're going to have to get more
current.
That's
the lowest ever.
Data. We're already into June.
June
I'm
just
counting on you
as
a co-host to be able to give me up-to-date information.
I don't think June's numbers have been released yet, so I think she has the most accurate.
Yeah, see? Somebody's on my side.
Rick without
Somebody's
a K.
Right.
Just whose side are you going to be on?
Rick.
I mean, come on.
Come on. We had this conversation before the show started, Daren.
I'm going to do my
so part
Rick
of the
loves me dance.
Part of the show when we were doing our little practice run, which we did 17 of them. No, we did like 4 minutes. But when we were doing this, I was looking at you, and then Rick said, "Look, Daren, you got to look at the camera. I'm supposed to be the pro." And he said, "If you need to look at me and and I'm going, Rick, for some reason I'm having a hard time looking at you and imagining that you're Elise. Okay, that just at any rate."
So the viewers know I'm not as pretty as she is.
No, you are. You are to some people. Trust me, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But man,
it depends on what you're attracted to. You're obviously attracted to me.
Okay, so
which is I'm grateful for.
Watch this professional move right here, but segues perfectly into companies are like attraction, right? What people are attracted to. You're in a bar. You're single. You've got 16 people that you're kind of looking at. Who do you go to? Who are you attracted to? And there are very certain elements, and it's not going to be the same for every person,
right?
Because every company is not the same.
True.
Companies don't think about, a lot of companies, especially CEOs and people are living in the old school sort of world where they go, hey, we're offering you a job. That should be all that matters. It's 2018. That doesn't work.
Nobody wants just a job anymore.
It really hasn't worked. I mean, it worked when that was the only thing you could do and you had to get it. But there's a reason that engagement has been so low for years and years and years. Because people weren't attracted to the company. In today's world, you want to attract top talent.
You want to attract people who are passionate about what you do. Who are interested in what you're doing,
And by the way, because you are doing interesting things and you are doing world-changing things and life-changing things, and by the way, that doesn't have anything to do with the kind of product you sell. I looked up on, what's the site?
Glassdoor.
Glassdoor. I looked up on Glassdoor top companies. Do you have that list somewhere?
I'll pull it up.
I'll find it. At any rate, one of the top, I want to say top 10 was In-N-Out Burger.
In-N-Out Burger was I think it was top 3.
This is a burger place, but In-N-Out Burger does a phenomenal job of building a culture where kids, people that are, kind of starting their careers, and some people that want to build a career.
In-app burger was number 4.
Number 4, okay? It's not about the product. It's about what the company represents and what the company's about.
Boston Consulting Group was number 3.
Boston Consulting Group was
different.
number 3. Number 2 was Bain & Company, which, by the way, if you don't know Bain, they're a consulting firm. They are the bane of consulting firms. Okay, I'm glad Rick thought that was funny.
It took me a minute.
The number 1 company, though, to work for is
Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. So who doesn't want to work for Facebook?
I mean, it must be really fun. I don't know, though. I don't know. I haven't been in there, so I don't know.
You
We'll
get
see.
to, I don't know, maybe there's secret things you get
But
to do
we
with
do
your
love
profile
Facebook.
or whatever.
At
any rate, we were with some friends recently in New York. These are some millennials, right? Have done some top stuff, and we're talking to the dude of this couple, and he said that he was actually leaving his big digital high end, one of the top companies in his space.
It was one of those companies that's great on your resume. You wanna be a part of it, right?
And he was leaving to go do his own thing. Why? Because he was a top performer working in a sea of not so much top performers.
And he said, when you've got a couple of high performers and the rest are just, sort of, they're doing their job, they're mailing it in, you've got a big strain because the CEO is always turning to its high performers to pick up the backlog. Oh, that's the person that's going to deliver on time, even though it's not their job. And the rest of them, you just give them stuff you're not worried about.
So it's the 80-20 rule
Right.
that 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. And why? That doesn't cut it in today's world. And so I know this sounds pie in the sky, but I say, why not have a complete company of all high performers? Netflix does this.
Yes.
Netflix says we only hire 8 performers. By the way, they back that up then by saying we treat them like high performers.
Yes.
So, for example, at Netflix, there's no vacation policy. Hey, you want to be gone? You want to go to your kid's soccer game? You want to take 4 weeks off to go?
And there are a lot of companies that are implementing that.
We were talking to somebody recently who's been at the company senior level for 20 plus years, and he said, "Hey, I want to take 3 weeks off." And the initial position was kind of like, "Well, good luck. You may not have a job when you get back." Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's not how you get top talent. So, does top talent matter? You ask, Elise.
Does top talent matter, Daren?
Okay. Yes. Thank you for following your cue.
Hey, I'm just making it interesting.
Failure to attract and retain top talent was the number 1 issue of a survey of global CEOs. High performers, catch this, are 400% more productive than average ones. In highly complex occupations, you're not just, moving, things around a desk. They're an astounding 800% more productive. So does it matter? Yeah. One person in the top 1%.
800%?
Yes.
Holy moly.
One person in the top 1% is worth 12 in the bottom 1%, just in terms of what they produce and what they put out.
This is true. I mean, I was still working at 9 p.m. last night. Some days I'm cutting off at 2, that's for sure. But when it really counts, stuff gets done on time, right?
Yes, and it's not just about the hours worked. It's really about even the smartness and your ability to perform and make things happen. In a company of owners, we talk about Stacy's versus Crawley's. Yeah, product placement. Nice, Elise. We talk about Crawley versus Stacy. Crawley's the zombie employee. Stacy's the high performer. And, companies need companies full of Stacys. In fact, that's, the whole book of Company of Owners is you want to create a company where people who, everyone there acts like an owner because you just get a different outcome from that. So check this. The late, great Steve Jobs.
Love Steve Jobs.
Let's have a moment of silence. That's
Bring
dead.
it back.
That's dead air. I said silence, not
Bring it
tears.
back.
But no matter what you say about Steve Jobs, love him, hate him, the man was an icon and did some incredible stuff. I'm not saying
He
his
changed
leadership.
some stuff. Who knows what people would say about Einstein if we had anyone still around that could remember him.
Okay, I want to just go on record as saying that probably the most significant thing that was ever said about Steve Jobs was just uttered out of the mouth of Elise Martin. She said he changed some stuff.
Hey.
Okay, so Steve, you got that going for you.
It was such a a numerous list.
It was
that
huge.
to list them all.
And we are total advocates of the stuffy change because I've been an Apple guy for a long time.
Hashtag stuff.
Let all of the non-Apple people let the hate mail begin. Okay, you can just post your comments, go accordingly. At any rate, this was a long way to get around to the Jobs quote. Jobs said this: "Go after the cream of the cream. A small team of A+ players can run circles around a giant team of B and C players." So you got to take a look at, are you attracting the right talent? Are you attracting top talent? And watch this from the great Elise Martin, and I may be in there too, this Beach Whale episode. Hey. So, Elise, if A players hire A players, what do you think B players hire?
B players?
No, they hire C players. And what do you think C players hire?
D players.
They hire F players. So you see the progression down, and that's a reality. I've seen this in so many companies. The last thing you want to do, the biggest mistake you can make as a company is have mediocre people who are not high performers doing the hiring. Because guess what? They're not going to want to hire somebody that's going to outshine them. So what do you want to do? You want to hire just the best of the best, the cream of the crop. I love this quote from Beached Whale. It's from Theodore Roosevelt.
I like Theodore Roosevelt.
The best executive is one who has sense enough to pick good people to do what he wants them to do, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it.
No meddling.
If you want a company of A players, you got to hire only A players.
Okay.
Beached.
Unbeached.
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 Okay, just the context of that. It's off the book Beached Whale, where we talk about learning to swim in the new ocean and what it looks like to be a beached whale company, et cetera, et cetera.
Et cetera.
By the way, if you like that, sillier ones, even more fun ones of those on YouTube.
On YouTube, on the website, DarenMartin.com.
They can
We have
find-
a whole video page for them. And
Oh, my goodness.
They go up every once in a while on Facebook. You know.
Yeah, at any rate. So,
Instagram.
but the point is hire A players, because I've seen this happen in company after company. You got to really pay attention to who's doing the hiring, because if you've got mediocre people doing the hiring, guess what? Are they going to hire people that are going to outshine them? No. Are they going to hire people that they think they're going to be intimidated by? No. You should have the cream of the crop hiring, because they're going to look for people. They're not going to be intimidated and so on and so forth. But what makes companies attractive to the right talent, to top talent? Well, it depends on the industry. It depends on a lot of different things. But I think there's some pretty common elements that go into it. Are you
I think
okay?
I'm choking on a bug.
Getting all choked. How are you choking on a bug? There are no bugs in On-Air Media Studios.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you just cut her out of the shot altogether?
I think
Rick,
I'm okay.
I'm just kidding.
I think it was like a major tickle.
We may have to have a brief show interruption to do the Heimlich maneuver,
It's all these allergies going
of
around.
which I'm roughly aware.
No, it's in the air.
So
I really think I choked on a bug.
yeah, I think you choked on something, but you good now? You need some water? You need a little bit of it? Okay. So I think when we start talking about, sorry, Elise is having a little minor crisis. Episode 1, pass.
No
pass.
worries. No worries.
So when we start talking about attracting and retaining top talent, it's going to be different for different people, clearly. But I think what most people are coming out from, they're looking at the WIFM. You know what WIFM stands for?
No, I do not.
You
What
do
does
not.
WIFM stand for?
W-I-I-F. What is in it for me? Just like if you're going for a
Is that
job
an acronym?
interview.
I thought our culture clearly outlawed acronyms.
No, that was IBM with Lou Gerstner.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
What's in it for me? When people are going to apply for a job, by the way, best piece of applying for a job advice is don't make it all about you. Make it about the company. Here's some value I can bring.
Yes.
Here's some things that I think you guys are trying to accomplish. Here's what I feel like I can bring to the table. But conversely, from the company standpoint, it's not enough just that you're trying to hire somebody. You're offering them a job. They have to see themselves in that position.
Oh, I love that. You know what? We should talk about the Wipro story.
Okay, so
I love that story. Would you like me to start it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Wipro, everybody knows Wipro. If you don't know Wipro, it's a call center in India.
Among other things, yes.
Among
but
other things, but they have a call center, and
Huge.
their turnover was major. It was massive. So they decided. Do you know the percentage rate of the turnover? What it was? I can't remember.
It was high.
It was high. Anyways, they had high turnover.
It was
as
a
lot
high
of
percentage.
a lot of call centers do. Everybody knows call center. It's not uncommon to have high turnover, but they wanted to bring that down. So they divided it into three.
Do you want me to take over now?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So they broke up. They had the test. They had the group they did nothing with, and then they had these two other groups. And what they did was they did their regular training, new people coming into the company, and then Group A they spent an hour with the individuals, and they talked to them about the company and about Wipro, where we come from, what's our values, what's our mission, all this stuff. At the end of that time, they gave them a really nice, cool shirt, and it had the company logo on it. Okay, very cool. Group B, they also, after their initial training, spent an hour with them. But instead, what they talked about for that entire hour was the candidate, was the person, the new hire. They talked about what are your aspirations? Where do you see yourself going? What talents do you feel like you bring to our company that we really should know about and we should pay attention to? At the end of that time, they also gave them a shirt. Great company logo, but it also had the person's name on it.
Right.
That's it. 1 hour after training, and they let it sit for 365 days because you can't measure anything until you got a little bit of a time frame.
For a while. But the fact that they got their name on the sweater plus the company name. Like,
okay, you're getting all excited here. You're jumping the punchline.
Sorry, go ahead.
At any rate, the point was that the people who had the
control
individual conversation where they really infused their identity into the company were 250% more likely to still be at the company 365 days later.
Hear that percentage.
Yeah. Now, the
250%.
It's a big number.
Wow.
Yes. So obviously the group they spent talking about the company as well, they were better than the just test group where they didn't do anything, but not near as significant. And the point is that when people see themselves as being a part of the company, in fact, so attracting top talent, I've got 7 little things here. Can I see myself here? Do I love what I see at the company when I walk in the door? Because your culture is the air you breathe. You can get a sense and a feel.
And it's a Wednesday. If you're sitting in your office right now, just stop for a second, silently, and look around and see if you like what you see.
That awareness moment was brought to you by Elise Martin, who just goes rogue every once in a while, and it's just going to happen on a regular basis.
No, but I've done this. I've done this. I've sat in my own company, and I've stood in the hallway, and I've watched people, and I've said to myself, do I like this or do I not like this?
Okay, how many businesses have you walked into where it's like, ooh, it just doesn't
feel the vibe
right.
as soon as you go
stuffy,
in, right?
Or it's, people are on edge, or it's super quiet, or it's just weird. And other companies you walk in, it's like, whoa, and it doesn't have to be a party.
No.
There's just a sense of either professionalism or fun or energy.
A good energy, a good energy felt right away.
Oh my goodness! I've been fortunate to be able to speak a couple of times at Southwest headquarters, who of course is, heralded
Southwest
as one of the
Airlines.
great cultures of all times. And but it's interesting because you walk around, and part of the feel you can get for the company is they've got all the jerseys and the pictures and the history and the stuff and the old photos and the thing. Their legacy is in the hallway.
Yes. And this is what we're talking about. That's why they're on the list of top places to work. Go ahead.
So, do I love what I see when I walked in? Will the company invest in me? Am I just a number? Am I just showing up? Or are they actually going to invest in me? Will I grow while I'm here? I think in every person's mind, whether they say it or not, whether they recognize it or not, there's a lot of research to back up that people want to grow and develop.
And a lot of times, even if you're happy with the culture and you're happy with your salary, and you love what you do, if you decide at one point that I've been doing this for 7 years and I want to grow into another position where I've had this happen to me, if there's no potential growth, you just start looking for something else.
If there's a lack of advancement. In fact, our friend that we were talking to in New York about leaving his job, he said, and I can't remember, I got to get his list from him. He was making them up on the fly, but he was talking about ceilings, and he named about 16 ceilings before he would ever be able to just sniff a senior position in this company.
Right.
And he was saying, I see no path forward. So big one. Do they need what I have? If you're going to a company and they're like, well, we're pretty cool and we've got kind of everything we want, but we might be able to figure out something for you. It's different from when you really have that sense going in that I've got some things I can bring to the table.
That you're unique.
Yes. Do they have things I need? Do I like the people? Now I listed that number 7. It really shouldn't be number 7.
No, it should be number 1.
You think so?
I think so.
And particularly the manager.
It's not just that. If you're working with someone that you just hate, it's just going to make your life miserable. Every time you get a text message, it's going to cause you a heart attack. It's like, oh my God, my boss again. Why is he texting me on a Friday? Oh my gosh. And you complain about it. And then you still have to answer it. And you're like, oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to work on Saturday. And then you're like, oh my God, girl.
I text you on
me all the time.
Friday from the other room. Fortunately, I'm not your boss.
Yeah, we're married. You couldn't afford me, so you married me, and
That's
here we
true.
are.
Okay, the best way to attract and hire top talent is to marry them. Now, you can't do that in your normal company, so we can't. That's not even a good strategy for the show.
Back to the point. People. If
Okay.
you don't like the people you work with.
So I've got one more. What do the Marines, secret societies, Masons, fraternities and sororities, what do they all have in common?
Cool uniforms?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if the Masons necessarily have a uniform. I've never been a Mason,
Ooh,
but
it's the ring. They have the ring.
they do have the
have that
ring.
cool
They've got the
Mason
logo, and that's the
ring.
point. If
love
you
that ring.
look at down through history, organizations that have survived and have thrived over a long period of time, there is something about being a part of that organization where you feel like you're a part of something.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, there are sports franchises like that. If you've ever played for the New York Yankees, I mean, that's kind of your calling card. I was a Yankee, and we see this, time after time with their certain. I grew up overseas. I went to International School of Bangkok. And I graduated from there. If I meet other people that grew up overseas or went to international school, boom, it's an instant connection. Like we're friends.
And I feel that because I worked for D Magazine, and I was in a role where I interacted with everyone, right? So
Yes.
as an admin. But recently when the Southwest Airlines flight accident happened and two former, they're not even staff members anymore, neither am I, but former staff members I heard were on the plane. I recognized the names. All of a sudden I'm texting everybody on my D Magazine list.
Because it was there was a culture around that.
There's something in there. It's I don't want to say family because a lot of times families can be dysfunctional when it comes to business. We'll talk about this in another episode. But
Yeah.
I want to say there's a unity, right? There's
You were a part of something that was bigger than just you.
there's a
and
locked arms. Yes,
that's there for life. So
Right?
Callahan is at University
Callahan's,
of Texas.
your daughter.
Callahan is. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying.
Yeah.
Callahan's my daughter. She's going to be a senior in the Business Honors Program at University of Texas.
Did you do that slow enough?
Wait,
or?
is that right?
Yeah.
Did I get that
Are you
right?
doing the Longhorn
Okay,
symbol?
yeah. If you do this, that's the Aggie.
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
at any
He's
rate.
doing Longhorn.
I have to get it
upside down.
straight.
Very
I also
strange.
had one that went to Texas
He's
Tech.
doing like
Get
an
your guns
L
out.
shape.
So
I don't know what that is with his
that
hands.
baby, you're embarrassing all of Texas right now.
I'm sorry.
That's the Longhorn.
Again, would you like me to sing it? I'm an alien.
So
Illegal
Callahan, who is at University of Texas, is also in a sorority. And from now on, when she runs into somebody 30 years from now who went to University of Texas
Right.
or was in her sorority,
Right.
it's going to be an instant bond, an instant friendship. Interestingly, by the way, when we were touring schools, we went and looked at all. I mean, she was top of her class, et cetera, et cetera. So
Et cetera,
it was kind of the sky's the limit. So we went and checked out all the Ivy League, everywhere. And what was fascinating was she had a particular list. Well, I'll name it, whatever, big deal.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was Princeton, Harvard, Yale.
Every college student should have a list, or every potential college student should have a list. Why not?
By the time we got through with the tour, the numbers had changed. In fact, it was now Yale, Harvard, Princeton. Now,
Wow.
no knock. I mean, obviously all great top tier schools. But here was the difference. When we toured Yale, Yale had a very personalized impact of what Princeton was a little stuffy. And a lot of this just has to do, quite frankly, with the kid that's doing the tour.
Right.
And I think
No,
schools.
it's like going to buy shoes. You look at 10 pairs online, you go to the store, and all of a sudden your favorite one, the color is just completely different as it was in the photo.
Yeah, it's just like that. I don't know what that had to do with anything,
like
but
shoes.
at any rate, just
It was a good example.
hey,
Go ahead.
Rick, welcome to my world. Okay.
I've enjoyed it. It's entertaining, man. Very entertaining.
So, in fact, and I'm getting way far afield, but not too far. One of the things I thought about was quitting all of my jobs and everything I do, and just going around to schools and helping them elevate their game. I mean, these are some really expensive schools that we were visiting.
Wait,
you know, $70,000
We're going
a
to stop
year.
doing culture and we're going
No,
to tour schools.
we're not. But what was fascinating to me was the way they were.
I have a resume.
The way they were representing their program
If
and
anybody's
the way they were
interested in
representing
really
the school was
videographer.
no, she doesn't have a resume. The way they were representing their program and their school was just not as dynamic as I felt like it should be. But here was the big difference. Here's what turned her first choice, second choice, all that. Princeton, it was all about, hey, it's really hard work. It's going to, sweat, blood, and tears, and you may make it, but we'll see. And Harvard was very much about, kind of here's some of the history and here's Harvard and phenomenal, obviously. When we got to Yale, man, the kid that was doing the tour was so on fire about the experience and was sharing things like, one of the cool things about Yale, when you get here, I think this was Yale, but when you get here as a freshman, the car pulls up, your family, you get rushed by all these students and they come out and they empty everything out of your car and go set it up in the door. It's just, it's phenomenal. Was telling about the freshman sort of big ball experience where it's in this big room and all the freshmen get together and you've got all the upperclassmen and I can't tell you everything because it's kind of, some of it's sort of secret. And
I love that.
I could just see Callahan's eyes light up because it wasn't about the school. It was about how you're going to be at this school. It's about your experience here. So I've been saying for a long time, I don't think many companies are taking me up on it, but if companies would act more like secret societies, fraternities, sororities, I'm not talking about in some of the negative element, obviously with the hazing, et cetera. Don't do hazing at your company culture. No. HR would have a problem with this. But if there was something about what it meant to become a part, there was a ceremony.
Why not? Why couldn't it be like, oh, you go to work. What is it like working there? I can't tell you everything because, we have secret blah, blah, blah. I love that.
Yeah. And
it makes it so exciting.
And, what's most people's typical first day at work? You go to work, they hammer you a bunch of stuff, they put you in a room somewhere, read through these documents, do this stuff.
Worse than that. I've had staff, I've heard horror staff stories where this girl who was hired in the sales department, she comes in, I'm not going to say where this was. She comes in, she sits down at the computer, they give her a computer. Now, she doesn't know the culture. They didn't tell her about the culture, they didn't tell her what anything.
Should I start guessing where this was?
Quiet. Quiet. And then, but it's not the point of where it was. The point is that this poor girl sat at this computer, right? She doesn't know how to do anything. She hasn't been given her job description yet. She's sitting at this computer. She doesn't know that it's okay to just, if you don't have anything to do because you're new, if you want to online shop or browse or whatever you want to do, it's your computer. Go ahead. She's scared. She's scared to online shop. She just stared at the screen for 4 hours.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I heard this story and I was like, what?
Okay, time to change our onboarding process.
And that was when they implemented a culture and an integration and a buddy system for new hires and
because
a new hire manual. But before that, this girl sat there for 4 hours staring at a computer screen.
Your first experience at that company, think about it this way. You're watching a movie and the first 45 minutes is just awful. It doesn't get you interested. It's just boring. What are you going to do? You're going to turn the movie off. You get that one chance to make a first impression. Right? When I do keynotes, I know I don't have 7 minutes to get people bought in. Well, maybe 7 seconds. I mean, that's a little aggressive, but you've got,
I'll give you 10 seconds.
You've got 60 to 90 seconds for the people sitting out there to go, should I pay attention to you at all?
Right.
Or am I even going to listen?
Right.
Why are we not grabbing people from day one through the interview process when they show up at day one? Why are the other employees not lining the hallways and doing a gauntlet and doing an applause?
Right.
Congratulations,
right.
You made it. You're
and
a
it's
part.
not hard to do. And that's not, it
Takes
doesn't
a little
even
bit of
cost
effort.
you money. It takes a little effort, right? You have to put it in place. Not Netflix. What? Pixar does that. Pixar, even if you're hired to work at the Starbucks in the Pixar office, they bring you in day one because establishing that love, that connection, that culture.
And they say,
is so
remember that I
right.
like my latte, no foam, no fat.
No, that's
Just get that straight right now.
You're awful sometimes. Oh my
Okay, that's not what they do?
goodness. That's not
All right,
funny.
what do they
They bring them into a room, even if they're going to be working at the Starbucks, they bring them into a room and they sit them down and they watch this video that says that it says to them, you are a filmmaker now. Even if they're going to work at the Starbucks, they're going to
No
have
matter
anything to do
where
with
you are in the company, what
you
you're
are
doing,
a
you're a
filmmaker
filmmaker.
now. And it says, we need your help.
Yeah.
And that's amazing,
Now, you don't think
right?
that builds investment?
Of
Absolutely.
course.
Now, contrast that with, I know a company that's not too far from here, that a guy went to work there 2 weeks before he got an email, a computer, and a cell phone. Now,
Whoa.
I mean, come
Whoa.
on. It's 2018.
No.
This was a semi-technology driven company.
What did he do for 2 weeks?
It ought to be sitting there with the big bow on
Right,
it, right?
with the business cards, with everything he needs.
Yeah, ready to
Here's
rock
a
and
little
roll.
notebook with your name on it, with our logo.
Special lunch plan, something
Right.
cool. The
And
end of the day,
today
things
is
are
your
happening.
first day. You're going to be having lunch with the CEO because we want you to get blah something.
Right. Graduations, ceremonies, all sorts of things. You can have a secret handshake.
No,
kidding,
seriously, what did you
sorta.
do for 2 months?
Celebration stuff. What does it mean to be a part of this company? If you want people to be excited about it, you got to create some excitement about them being there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's just straight out of the chute.
Right.
By the way, Edward Deming says nobody goes to work to do a bad job, and I completely agree with him. What does that mean? That the reason we have such low engagement rate is because people get to work and they start meeting barrier after barrier. They start bumping into all this bureaucracy and things that keep them from bringing their best self to it, and at some point they just check out.
Right.
So you want to attract and retain, or you want to attract top talent.
And the right people.
And
Doesn't
the
have
right
to be just
people.
top talent. The right people.
There's got to be meaning at work. Now, we dog on the millennials all the time saying, oh, well, they only want to work at a company that makes a difference. Okay, what's the problem with this? Why is it, I love the one, I
People
haven't heard
assume
this.
that makes a difference means philanthropy.
Yeah, which it can be. It can
Yes,
be philanthropy.
but
It can be,
we're in the culture space and we make a difference,
yes.
right? We do that through the keynotes, through the books, through the online curriculum that's
We're
going
making
on.
a difference right now.
We're making a difference right now, right?
Yeah. So people want to be a part of something that is having an impact, whether it be global or just on the people around them.
Right.
And that I think that's where companies sort of miss it. I shouldn't have to, I love the one where millennials, and this is not a millennial show. We'll do a whole show on millennials if y'all want. Although I'm so tired of talking about that subject because there's so many myths.
We've got
and
lots of great stories.
Yes, we do. But within 6 months, that guy, that gal, they wanted to be made vice president.
He always wants a gold star.
Okay.
I'm going to go buy him a pack of gold stars.
So do you not want people with ambition
Do you
and
want people who are excited?
yeah, and who like being thanked and praised? I mean, who doesn't?
We're getting
enjoy
off
that?
topic, though.
Yes, we are.
We're talking about
Okay.
attracting. Now
So
we're
you
moving
got
in-
them there. You get them there. Now you have to keep them.
Now, keeping them, retaining, this word is just like, it sounds
because
like
it can be real shiny on the front end.
yeah, and then you
Oh.
get in and you're it's like the company that is a warehouse, right? It was a warehouse, and they of course obviously a warehouse needs a label maker, so they went a year with a broken label maker that didn't work, so they had to label everything by hand, right?
Yes.
And then it took how long? He got a new label maker, but I don't know how many years it was before they had it set up.
It was 49 years.
Really?
No, babe.
It was a long time.
It's not 49 years.
It was a long time.
It was a couple of
But
months.
think about a warehouse. How often they need a label maker?
Okay,
Of course, nobody's gonna stay.
So the point is, if broken equipment, we talk about this. There's a great Beachwell episode about this, or bureaucracy. All those things are just killers. Do people? Let me ask you this. You're watching this. You're listening to this. Let me ask you this question. What is the number of days out of a 5-day work week that you go home feeling absolutely, completely fulfilled about what happened at work that day? What is the number out of 5?
Number 5.
Now, if somebody says 5, okay, that's pretty good. Somebody
me,
says
5.
3.
It wasn't though. Once.
Why are you
I thought you were asking me.
influencing the
Sorry.
question?
My bad.
We know it's a 5 for you. We love our life, but you know what? We've kind of built it to be that way as well. And not only that, we
No,
bring a
it's
certain
not- it's not that.
attitude to it.
Again, hired and part of a company that I believe in, that I know is making a difference, that all the points of attracting, right, top talent. I wouldn't be working with you if I didn't believe in what we did.
Yeah, and I might
I would
ask,
go find something else to do.
right. So when you go home at the end of the day, do you feel completely fulfilled and like I've done something today? Whether it was just, it might even be just I got my desk cleared off, or do you feel that sense of accomplishment? I think for a lot of people, what was the stat you came across recently? Only like 14% of people are satisfied in their jobs, or
14%, I think.
yeah, it's horrendous. I mean, ridiculous.
14% of Americans have their dream jobs. They're probably lower than that.
Yeah. So if you're not going home at the end of the day, if you're going home 1 day out of 5 or 1 day out of the month, something really significant, you have to get that big sale, something big has to happen. You're probably not going to, you're easy target to be drawn away to some
14%.
other company. So paying attention to, in managers, it could be something as simple as, hey, how's it going? Are you having a great time at work? What is one thing we could change that would make your experience
And
here
we're a two-people
better?
company, but we still do this.
We do this.
We do this. You sit down and you say, hey, what can I do for you to make your job easier? What do you like, not like? What can we, start, stop, continue,
and
so on and
sometimes
so forth.
that's buying a new, faster piece of equipment. I didn't realize for a long time that you were working with a
computer that kept needing to be restarted.
spin.
But I just figured, that's what you do at companies.
The minute we had this
You don't
conversation,
complain.
guess what? We were on our way to the Apple store, and we bought you top of the line, not because we like just crazy spending money, but because it saved you an hour
and
or
it
two.
changed my outcome entirely. I mean, I would say a 500% increase in output, absolutely, especially when it came to videos.
Okay, so one of the things that we're going to do on the show on a regular basis is this little segment that we call
Martin-ized.
All right, let's Martin-ize.
Yeah. Take it
Boom.
from here, Martin.
Thank you to Jagger for coming up with the Martin-ize. I don't know where in the world that came from.
I love flaming fire.
It might have something to do with
Fire!
the last name being
Sorry, I
Martin.
couldn't help myself. Sorry. I'm just gonna calm down.
Pyromaniac.
This is your part of the show. Go ahead.
Is it? Are you not participating?
In the Martin-ized?
Yeah. Can you just turn her microphone off for this whole
Oh,
segment?
that's right. My last name is
Okay.
Martin too.
You've already turned against me, buddy.
I'm smart enough to know better, man.
Yeah, you are smart enough to know better. So, okay, Martin-ized, something that needs to be clean, something that needs to be changed. I was on the phone this morning. We get an email. Elise comes in very concerned, said, by the way, we just heard from our bank, our mortgage bank, that said there's a problem and they didn't get the payment. I'm going, wait.
Is that my voice? Is that your impression of my voice?
That's my I can do better.
Sorry. That was a little
So,
loud. Sorry.
I'm going, wait, bought this condo 6 years ago. It's on auto pay. What do you mean you didn't get the payment? Sure enough, I go into my bank. It looks, the payment went. Get them on the phone. By the way, my absolute least favorite thing to do, if I have to call you because there's a problem that's not really a problem, okay? Picking up the phone and calling customer service and waiting on the deal and doing all that is laborious.
Whoa, what does that word mean?
I don't think I've said that word in a long time.
I've never heard this word before.
So, because I haven't said it in a long time. So that's not the Martin-ized thing, though. So the gal gets on the phone. We start talking. Very delightful woman. She says, the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, by the way, because taxes went up because we live in Texas and we live in Dallas and the city's growing and taxes just keep going up, property taxes. She goes, oh, well, you were short on your escrow or the thing with the stuff in the account by $126. Okay, so one other annoying thing, by the way, was the 800 number they gave me, both on the 800 number and then when I called, said, by the way, if you need financial counseling or if you are in debt and struggling, we're here to help you.
Wait, didn't give you the option of counseling yourself? You've got a PhD
I'm
in psychology.
$126 short on a...
You obviously need financial counseling.
much more substantial
$126 short. Maybe it's $2 short. You
This
need
was
to be
their-
sent
this
to
was their-
collections.
this was
what
their-
in the world?
This was their only option. At any rate, so to make a very long story short, I finally go through this and I said, look, hey, it's coming out of my bank, but it's not making the adjustment. They have a program where they can take it out. And I said, if you do that, well, you just change the amount next year or something, goes up or down or whatever. And she goes, oh, yeah, we can do that. Let me send you the forms. Wrap your mind around that. Let me send you the forms. So I say, hey, can I do this online? Is there a way to fill it out? Well, no, unfortunately, because of our process and our bank and our deal and stuff, we actually need to send you
Did they offer to give
the
you complimentary
physical
stamps for that?
form.
And an envelope?
I don't care. It is nails on a chalkboard to me.
What are you supposed to do
call
with the
that
form after you fill it?
friction. I'm supposed to fax it back.
Oh, as if we have a fax machine.
Do we have fax?
No,
don't
and
think we
fax
have a
machines
fax.
are evil. I'm sorry, anybody that works in an office, if you're an admin, I'm sure that you hate fax machines.
Yes,
If
so-
you don't, you must have a really cool fax
So
machine.
I heard the guy that I can't remember his
Fax
name at the
machines are
moment, but
evil.
if you know these things, you'll know. He started Geek Squad, sold it to Best Buy for $20 trillion. I don't remember. It's a
Geek
big number.
Squad.
At any rate, he said, I heard him speak. I actually introduced him at an event a number of years ago, and he said, if I get a business card from you and it has a fax number on it, you've lost all credibility with me. In fact, his business card was only his at whatever Twitter handle.
I
okay?
think that's a little aggressive, just Twitter.
So we've talked to quite a few companies this year. Man, we are all over the map when it comes to keynotes.
Yes,
Because
yes.
by the way, it's not industry
Well,
specific.
culture is not industry I can't even say this word.
Yes.
Specific. Darren.
So, but the point
Every
is,
company has a culture, and every company has a culture unique to themselves, and every company.
do you remember we're
needs
doing Martin-ized right now, and I'm on a very specific point that doesn't have to do with company culture.
Everything has to do with company culture. It's a company culture podcast. I win.
At any rate, when you've got a business where you still have to fill out forms, I call that friction. I don't want to fill out forms. You went to the doctor recently, and you did it on an
iPad.
electronic.
It was as easy as next.
Meaning that next time you come back, they're going to have all that information. It's going to be there.
Right.
Forms are bad business. Friction is bad business. Don't make me, and for goodness sakes, don't make me fill out forms that you already have the information for that you could do in a much more efficient way.
Right.
Martin-ize it. Get rid of all of
Martin-ize
this
it.
busy paperwork. Man, that was loud.
Oh,
all of
sorry.
this busy paperwork that you've got. Okay?
No.
No. What?
But I'm just trying to be contrary.
Okay. You're creating a little tension on the show.
I don't think that they're going to listen to you, Darren.
You don't think so?
No, people. I don't know why they're still.
We're addicted to paper. We're addicted to
People
paperwork.
are addicted to paper. I'm addicted to notebooks, but I'm not addicted to paper.
No. Oh, look, I get up every morning. A lot of times I write. I'll write books. I write
And
stuff
I'm not
on-
against that. It's not waste. I don't think it's as much waste as all
No
the
more forms.
forms and the printing. Like when we were applying for that loan recently and stuff.
No more forms. Okay, so I'm not. No more just paper forms. Let's go electronic.
Let's
This
go
is a much
electronic, 'cause
easier
we
way to
can.
go. Okay, so Elise,
Way more efficient.
we're going to be back. I think we're switching days next week. We're going to
on
move
Friday.
to Friday,
Right,
and we're
same
going
time.
to progressively change it 24 hours forward, just to be weird. And so then the following week it'll be Saturdays. No, I think we're actually going on Fridays.
Yeah,
as
I think it's
regular
going to be
basis.
Fridays. Yeah, but it
and-
all depends on our keynote schedule. Darren's always out of town, and we're always on the road.
But generally,
you know-
we're home by Friday. So we are going to be back next week. We're going to be posting. This
live
is
on YouTube, live on Facebook.
Hey, so the biggest favor you can do for us is go on, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notified when the stuff is happening.
Right.
And we want to hear from you. So
Don't
we
forget to subscribe to
really
the podcast
do
on iTunes.
want to hear what topics would you like covered from a company
Yes.
culture standpoint. We've
We-
got plenty to go
We
through.
would love to answer your questions because we get a lot of questions when we're on the road, but sometimes addressing them, if you ask the question that we address here, it could help a lot.
It's going to happen right here on
other
On Air
people.
Media every week.
So there's a form on the website. Go to the website, you just go to podcast, you fill the form, and you can submit a topic or a question, and Dr. Martin, the Chief Culture Architect.
I wish
will
you could
address
see
it for
Rick's
you.
face right now. He's
What?
laughing his rear off because, baby, I've tried to get out of the show like
Fill out forms.
yeah, really. Yeah, there's that.
I'm trying
too.
to be efficient.
At least it's an electronic rig. Yeah, I'm going to Martin-ize Elise Martin is what's going to happen. At any rate, I'm trying to get out of the show. Are you
right.
good with all the
We're good.
preamble? Okay.
All right, we'll see you all.
Signing
Friday.
off from Dallas, Texas. It is the Culture Architect on a company culture with Daren Martin, and
Ellie.
see you next time.
Bye.